All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. So, obviously, very chaotic time in the market right now. Um, what we need to do is we need to develop a game plan because I know a lot of you are, some of you are, in that FOMO mindset. You're like, oh, this is going to break down, or I didn't sell, or, should I be positioning in Bitcoin or should I be positioning in ETH, long or a spot buy, or, derivatives, or should I be, looking at altcoins? Um, so many different things probably running through people's heads right now, and we really just got to get to, let's develop a game plan together. All right, and that's the plan here. As always, these videos, please go back to Twitter, like and retweet. I don't, it should be worthwhile to me to bring them to you as well. I've been in this market for 6 years now in crypto. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be right? This is just my plan, things I plan on doing, not financial advice. Find yourself a qualified financial advisor, all those things. But, so let's start with just in general, right? People are asking me, what do you do if you didn't sell? Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't have advice for people who didn't sell. It's hard for me to tell you to sell here because I'm not sure when we might get a bounce or something of that nature. Anyone who has followed me for months or something knows that in my videos, I've talked about selling so many times above 3.8 thousand ETH, above 55,000 Bitcoin. There's nothing else I could do for you now. I'm sorry you weren't here earlier, but all the DMs asking what do I do, I posted that chart about us potentially visiting 12K. Look, I don't know when we're visiting 12K. It might be 2 years from now. So let's get into everything, right? And we're going to break it all down. What's the order of importance here? First off, let's go over to crypto real quick, and we're going to start there. When you're looking at crypto, I know a lot of you are thinking, okay, am I buying Bitcoin here? Am I buying ETH here? Am I buying alts here? Let's just look at these quick, right? Let's look at some of these alts. Okay, almost full retracement on AVAX. Let's look at Sol, almost full retracement on Sol. Let's look at ETH, already tested the previous all-time high. Let's look at BTC, has yet to test the previous all-time high. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that we don't give a fuck about altcoins right now. Get them off your bar. We don't give a fuck about altcoins right now because altcoins are not turning around until Bitcoin turns around, okay? And if we're looking at ETH, in my opinion, I don't give a fuck about ETH either at the moment. So ETH, I like to see the price, so I'm going to leave it up here. But technically, we could exit out. I'm not trading ETH right now. If you look at FBTC, in my opinion, there's a ways down to go. We're on the monthly chart here. Resistance before the push through, okay? Most likely come back down and retest this area over time. Point being, I don't give a fuck about ETH right now. I only care about BTC when it comes to crypto markets. So, where do we go from there? Well, I got bad news for you. BTC cares about what this does right here. The thing that doesn't get me much engagement on my posts, but it's funny because it affects you the most. And actually what affects this the most is the Fed. All right, so if we're going from order of importance of what is really affecting these markets right now, we're talking about the Federal Reserve, who's looking at inflation, all that data, setting interest rates, quantitative tightening. That's your highest level. So come FOMC on Wednesday, you need to pay attention. You need to watch FOMC. Okay? You need to see. It's not only about about Powell speaking during his plan speech, but it's a lot about the questions. Pay attention to if anyone asks about a 75 BPS rate hike for the next meeting. Okay, if he says 75 BPS is back on the table, BPS basis points. If he says that 75 is back on the table, markets are going to continue to go lower. If he gives any type of a dovish stance, which means he's basically not being as bearish as expected, then we could see some type of a bounce, right? So at the very highest level, we need to pay attention to the Fed and Powell and the words of Powell. All right, so that's our highest level. Then we go down to ES. Okay, ES is the S&P 500. Tracks the 500 companies, pretty much the largest companies in America. Your Microsoft, your Apple, okay? Companies of that nature. So that's the SP 500. SP 500 can also be labeled SPX, SP 500. On here, we're looking at ES1 exclamation point on TradingView. That's the E-mini futures version of the S&P 500. All this stuff is the same shit, guys. Try not to get too confused, right? You can go to my video all about ES and you can learn about it there. But this is what we're looking at first right here. We're looking at the Fed and then we're looking at the S&P 500. Okay? Now, once the S&P 500 finally puts in a bottom, then we can look for Bitcoin to put in a bottom. Then we can look for ETH to put in a bottom. Then we can look for alts to put in a bottom and bounce. But here's the thing. This stuff could take a year. It could take 2 years. I mean, you guys have to understand that we're getting into very uncharted territory before. Crypto has never been through a recession. We're talking record inflation here. Quantitative tightening, which we haven't seen any quantitative tightening since 2019. When we were doing quantitative tightening in 2019, look at how markets reacted. Okay? So markets were not up only during QT. Markets only go up only during QE. Okay, we ended QE somewhere in here. QE, COVID crash, QE, 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 and QT just begins here. In my opinion, we have a ways more down to go. I mean, we're not even at the, the 50% point or anything if you're talking, the fib. So I think that ES has more down to go, but what you need to think about is it's not just about ES, it's about what does the Fed say. So if the Fed backs off of QT, or if they back off of rate hikes, or if they go down to 25 BPS instead of 50, that is going to be bullish for the markets, okay? So it's very difficult to sit here and tell you guys exactly what you need to be doing, but what you do need, you need to know what to look for, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Now, here's what I'm doing. I have, because I don't need to worry. Let's try to compartmentalize some of this stuff so we don't need to worry about it. Okay, I want to buy Bitcoin spot. Well, I want to buy it at around 11.6 thousand. I already got my spot bid set. All right, they're already set. They're ready to go. 10% of my net worth, or whatever you want to say, is sitting down at 11.6K. If that gets filled overnight, great. If that gets filled in 2 years, great. If something changes to where, something, crazy happens, whatnot, maybe I pull the bids. But for now, what I'm doing is I'm compartmentalizing things and I'm getting them out of my headspace so I can focus on what's important. That's why I got rid of all the alts. That's why I don't give a fuck about ETH right now. That's why I'm setting bids on BTC and I don't need to pay attention to it much more. Look at this. All we have here is just void, inefficiency, imbalance, whatever you want to call it. We've talked about this stuff over the years. This is just void price action, okay? And the thing about actually ES is that ES is typically a bit more efficient when it comes to market moves, and it often gives you cleaner retests, which is why I've been favoring ES lately. Hey, look at just these clean retests, okay? So ES rarely, or the S&P 500, whatever you want to say. And if you want to trade ES, put my links at the bottom here. Come trade ES. It's really fun. It trades a lot more clean than Bitcoin at the moment, in my opinion. Like I said, so I'm setting spot bids and stuff for Bitcoin. I'm forgetting about it. I'm focusing on ES. Why? Because ES is determining what is going to happen in crypto. So this is where my focus lies. All right. If you're a hardcore crypto person, you don't like that, tough fucking luck. That's what new crypto is. Old crypto, you could go on I've said this on Twitter. You can go on shady exchanges, trade shady ass coins, and you didn't have to give a fuck about the Fed, SP 500. You didn't have to care about any of it. But now your main focus should be on this chart right here that I'm showing you. And if you don't like that, tough fucking break, but get used to it, because this is what it's going to be. It's going to be all about the Fed and about the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, etc. Let's take a sip of water. So We don't need to do a ton of analysis today. This is more about just trying to get your heads clear. But when you're talking ES and when you think ES, I guess we'll do a little analysis. All right, fuck it. When you're talking about ES, here's some crucial things about ES versus crypto. Bitcoin, when Bitcoin runs, you know that it leaves everybody behind. Okay, Bitcoin's known to leave people behind. It has an impulse, and it never if it's bullish, if it's actually bullish, you hear me say that all the time, if it's truly bullish, it will not retrace back to the origin of impulse upwards. It will not retrace back to a resistance level, right? So resistance level before the breakout, right? So if we're getting consolidation on Bitcoin and it pumps, it'll never come back and retest this if it's actually bullish. It doesn't do that. But ES does do that. It's a more efficient market, and it's willing to give people a second chance to get in. So that is a big difference between ES and BTC when it comes to trading. Now, you haven't heard me talk about this a lot because I've only started, visually in front of you guys trading ES in the past couple months. But over time, when I've been comparing how BTC moves with how ES moves, once I started paying attention to it more during COVID, that is one of the biggest things I've seen is that ES really, it gives you more of a chance. Now, it can get very choppy, all right? That's another difference. ES can get very choppy during the U.S. Open and whatnot, and you have to be cautious of that. If your level gets swept, right? So let me just give you guys an example trade. So here's what I'm watching for, all right? Right on Monday's Open. Or maybe even when ES opens tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern, okay? So here's what I'm watching for. I'm looking for a run of this swing low, and here's something that people are getting confused about too. They're saying, oh, well, do you just buy on the run of the swing low? No, you need to wait and see if there's some type of reaction. This is the problem, is that a lot of people are not, focused on execution, right? When it comes to ES, you're given much more of a chance to execute on lower time frames than you are in like Bitcoin price action, in my opinion. Bitcoin price action, it runs away from you. It doesn't give you a second chance when it's either bearish or bullish. ES likes to give you a second chance, okay? So, quick example trade right here. Let's say we sweep this, okay? And now let's go down to a lower time frame. Let's go down to like an hourly. And make sure you know ES is all about liquidity, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to look for the nearest liquidity, and we're going to try to trade off of that level, okay? And I'm going to show you about this too and why it just broke right through. But ES is all about liquidity, okay? So focus on liquidity first. Go to the daily time frame, search for the liquidity, and then we're going to trade around that level, okay? So if we come down to this level and we rip through, okay? And let's say we reject off, okay? Now we're not in yet. We're not in yet, right? Because we're just rejecting. And we go down again. And let's say here now we get an impulse up. Okay, this is where you start hunting for your entry. It will often give you a second chance. It'll either come down back to the resistance before it pushed upwards, right? Or it'll come back down to the swing level and give you an entry there. Either way, stop is below here, okay? Because this impulse up means that we're strong, and that's just typically how it trades. I mean, I can give you, let's just go into previous price action here and try to give you guys some examples. I'll try to spot them real quick. Okay. Impulse up, and guess what it does? It retests the resistance before the impulse up. Okay, let's see if we can find another one. Let's even zoom in a little bit. Let's go on like the 15 or something. Alright, well, let's try to use this. I don't know. I'm not trying to cherry pick here. I'm just looking for examples, obviously, so it sort of looks like that. But, okay, so we have a downtrend, right? So pretend this was the swing level, and we break down through the swing level. We finally get a strong impulse up. Okay, strong impulse up. Where was the resistance before we broke down? I mean, where was the resistance before we broke out? The resistance was here. Okay, let's draw that across. I can't draw, so let's do this. And look, when it comes back down, you get a strong bounce off the level. That's more than enough for a quick scalp right there. You're getting And again, right, stop below the impulse. So your stop does not get tagged. Your stop is safe. And you get a strong impulse of roughly 30 points. Now, depending on where you're trading, if you're trading on Prime XBT with my links below, you can set it to whatever you want. So if you're just trading one SP500 contract, well, this is only going to give you $30. But of course, you can set the amount of contracts that you want. And your stop here would only be $14. So obviously, depending on how many contracts you want to trade of the SP500, there you go. You still get two risk reward here. That's a good trade. All right. So that's basically my point with ES here, is that you're getting a lot of quality trades on the lower time frames. So start on the daily, look for liquidity, go down to the hourly, take a look around there, see what's presenting itself, and when that swing level is ran, right? Let's just delete all this. Oh yeah, and the point about this one was, look, you never got an impulse. So why are you jumping into a trade? Why would you just naked long this, blind long this? You can get an impulse. You can get an impulse like you did here, or like you did here, like you did here, like you did here. Oh, hey, take a look at this. Impulse up. Guess what? The resistance before it moved up. Oh, support, huge bounce, support, huge bounce, stop below the impulse. Okay, ES gives you many opportunities. It's an amazing asset to trade, in my opinion. Okay, so there's no fucking trade here. It just rips right through. So there's no trade there. So what you're watching for is you're watching for a run of this swing. Let it do whatever the hell it wants. It doesn't matter what it does. When it impulses back up, look for the retest, either of resistance or of the swing level. And there you go. Stop below the low. Okay, simple as that. And the more you learn and focus about how the ES price action moves, the more you're going to understand how Bitcoin is going to move. Okay, you need to get into that mindset. Order of importance: Fed, Powell, price action on the S&P 500, then price action on BTC. ETH doesn't matter. Altcoins don't matter whatsoever. All that stuff is a very back seat to these, okay? So focus on these first and then move down. So to finalize here, trying to think if I forgot anything. Yeah, so just to wrap it up here, we'll sort of go top down. And again, if you appreciate this content, please like and retweet. Please sign up with my links at the bottom, deposit. That's really helpful. That's what makes these videos keep coming. All right, so from top down, we have to think about what's important. What's important is the Fed, what's important is the SP 500. That leads into crypto. I'm not looking for any crypto spot buys for a long time. I have my order set. It's out of my mind. It's not a big deal. I'm not thinking about it. When Bitcoin comes down, if it does come down to 20K or something, which would mean that ES leads us down, which would mean that the Fed has said something bearish, or the market is bearish on the Fed's future rate hikes, etc., etc. And if BTC comes down towards 20K, I definitely am interested around there. The question is, how high does it bounce? I mean, honestly, we could bounce from 20K all the way back up to 32K. It's totally possible, 33K, and then come back down in the months to come or the years to come. And I know people they're hearing this and they're like, they're flabbergasted. They think it doesn't make any sense because all they're used to is the bull market and QE and just instant retracements and instant bounces. But crypto's never seen a recession, and I'm not sure if we're fully going into a recession or what the deal is, but crypto has not seen economic conditions like this, and I'm not in a rush to put all my hard-earned bull market gains back into the market when we're so obviously struggling. We're struggling with inflation, struggling with the war in Ukraine. You're going to have the presidential elections coming up. And obviously, that's still like 2 years out or whatever. But nonetheless, I mean, all this stuff is uncertainty. And markets hate nothing more than uncertainty. When it was Trump in office and it was full QE And we knew that Trump was going to come up on the stage every single day and say the markets are as strong as they've ever been, and we knew that Powell was going to keep the printer going, and how much money they were injecting into the system, everything. It was just up only, up only, up only, up only, right? Nothing but long, nothing but up only. Mini flash crashes, people bought them up instantly, and more up only. Well, now we're at the opposite. We went from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening. Okay, so now we are tightening, and assets are going down. Powell even said himself that he cannot control supply, but he can control demand. And how he controls demand is by taking your money away from you, taking money away from people who hold risk assets by sending the risk assets down. I don't know why the fuck I can't talk right now. Let me take a sip of water. Anyway, point being, definitely popped off this video a little bit. Look, guys, I'm passionate about all this stuff, and I'm not gonna say I'm uneasy, because I'm not uneasy. I was 90% out of BTC-ETH by 3.8 and above and 55 and above, and then basically got rid of everything else when we got that bounce to at 36 or something. I don't know. I might have got rid of it earlier at 32 or something. But point being, I'm not uneasy when it comes to if the markets go down. But what does prompt something like this in me is really to think that there could be a generational opportunity coming up, and you really need to have a game plan ready for that. It's not something you just want to willy-nilly and say, oh yeah, I'll figure it out when the time comes. No, not at all. You need to be prepared ahead of time. If you didn't see my Doomsday Prep video, you can go and look at that too. Just search Doomsday Prep Crypto Chase on YouTube. That'll be helpful for some people who really want a more in-depth guide about how to, try to dollar cost average or whatever into the bottom. But look, ultimately, things are changing every month, every week, every day. And even some old information that I've put out or some old charts that I put out are simply, no longer relevant. I won't always be right. Sometimes I'll be wrong, all these things. And you have to make decisions for yourself and what's best for you. And you really need to have a plan. So hopefully sharing with you my plan at the moment, which is, like I said, not caring at all about alts, not caring at all about ETH, spot bids on BTC, paying very close attention to SP500, and I'll be scalping SP500 because trading ES will give you a better feel of what it's going to do. Okay, when you're in a market and you're actively trading a market, you typically get a better feel of where it's going to go. And not only that, but ES trading opportunities, in my opinion, have been much more clean than Bitcoin lately. I urge you to give it a shot. Many of you already had when I did the everything about ES video, and very much appreciate you guys signing up, using my link, etc. Thank you very much for that. And some of you already said, that you crushed a trade or two, so that's awesome. The price action is clean. You get a ton of value out of it, not only from improving your trading and learning a new asset, but also you are out of the crypto atmosphere at that point. You are getting an opportunity to trade without fear of just a 20% down day. If ES goes down 7%, they halt the markets essentially. 7% in one trading session. So, yeah, I guess that's it, right? Just, yeah, I think I've said it many times. Watching the Fed, watching ES, scalping ES, because that's where the best price action is at the moment, and also it's going to help you know what's coming for crypto. Paying attention, FOMC, CPI, all inflation data, etc. And then you look towards crypto. And that's the plan, all right? Thank you very much, everybody. And I wish you... yeah, watch this swing low, right? And if this swing low gets breached, watch this swing low. And if this swing low gets breached, start watching these swing lows. But in my opinion, this will SPX rarely just goes SPX ES. I just need to start calling it one thing. I've done this in so many videos. ES rarely just goes down in one fatal swoop, right? Only during COVID did that really happen. Extreme uncertainty. And even during COVID, we got bounces, okay? Even during COVID uncertainty and lockdowns, you got bounces, all right? ES is not going to do one single candle down, okay? That's not going to happen. You're either going to sweep this and get a response, or you're going to sweep this and get a response. In worst case scenario, you'll sweep this and get a response, and you'll get some type of bullish price action, at least for a couple days. Again, keep an eye on what the Fed says, though. What the Fed says is going to play a major factor in how ES moves, and how ES moves and what the Fed says is going to play a major factor in BTC. I've repeated myself enough. Have a great week. Good luck.